It's raw, but it's hot. Hello, welcome to Live a Juicy Life. I am your host, Lilou Mace, and today we're going to talk about a hot topic on every celebrity's lips. Yes, we're talking about raw food diets, and today we have a specialist, a wonderful, amazing goddess, Karyn Calabrese. How are you doing, Karyn?
Oh, thank you so much. I love the goddess thing. Because, you know what, that's the whole deal. We women do have to remember we're goddesses and
yes.
be accepting of it and nice. Thank you so much for that. Hello.
Hello. and congratulations on your success and wonderful. You're an accomplished businesswoman. You're a speaker. You're a cook, you have restaurants, you have seminars, so much is going on. And I'm so excited to have you. You're definitely what I qualify juicy.
Thank you so much. And that's part of staying young and healthy too, is staying juicy and staying exciting and living on the edge and following your dreams.
Yeah.
And it's certainly been that type of a journey for me. I actually have no degrees in anything I do. Even in terms of I'm talked about as a top chef, I can't even chop quickly, you know. It's just been a passion, a desire of mine. Knowing what I wanted to do for myself and then just expanded it into business actually is what I've done. Wow. So I started out very humbly in a greenhouse in Evanston growing wheatgrass and sprouts when nobody was drinking wheatgrass, and my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, said, "You'll never get anybody to drink that." He said, "Bad word," but you. And now the world is drinking it. And in terms of the raw foods, it's been a journey also. I didn't pick up a book one day and go, "Oh, this sounds like a great idea," because back then when I started it, there weren't many books on it. We just had Dr. Ann Wigmore, who kind of started the whole movement in our time.
It was only for hippies.
It was for hippies, and yeah, and I guess I was kind of a hippie back then too, of sorts, a hippie in Chanel. But but my teacher was Dr. Wigmore, who started this whole process. She brought it to the forefront again, and it just kind of evolved. I had been a vegetarian for about 9 years prior to meeting her, and then I became a vegan, and then I became a raw foodist. So it's been a journey. You don't go from A to Z overnight, that's for sure.
And you were a model.
I was a model for many, many years, so vanity did play a part in it. You know, I know health is very important, but having a healthy fear of doctors, and I don't recommend that for anybody else, it just works for me, you know, having a healthy fear of doctors and surgery and Botox and all the stuff that they have now, I needed to look for ways to keep my vitality. Plus, I have to add, I was also very sickly. I had every allergy known to man. I had terrible skin.
Really?
Yeah, and I just... it just evolved. I just kept finding more and more ways to heal my body, and as I healed, my thinking changed, everything changed. And what hasn't changed, though, is the aging process, because I will be 61 very soon. I'm very proud of that. And
amazing.
I don't know what illness is. I don't know what tiredness is. I don't know what surgery is. So, and it's not just for me. I'm not special. It's for everybody. I promise.
And we're going to get more into that.
Yes.
So actually eating raw foods, let's get clear. Does it mean only eating vegetables and fruits?
Well, yes, to a degree, seeds, nuts, legumes, vegetables, and fruits, but you couldn't just exist on lettuce and tomato and cucumber. When people think of raw foods, they think of lettuce, tomato, and cucumber, and it's like, oh my God, there's no way I could eat that way. And that's not what it's about. It's about, well, that's what my restaurant's about. I have found ways to make fruits and vegetables and legumes and seeds and nuts taste like food that you're used to eating. And I think that's what's very important. You can't just go from A to Z overnight. The human body is supposed to have salt, fat, and sugar. That's part of our equation.
Yep.
So you have to find ways to incorporate all of these things. And that's what I did for myself, and then it just extended to helping other people with it.
So that's how you got started with the restaurant?
Yes, I originally started by helping myself,
yeah.
You know, and this is what I always teach people. The number one person to work for is yourself. That's the only thing you have total control over.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take the responsibility for yourself, it kind of has a domino effect in your life to work for everybody and everything around you.
Yeah.
So I started by experimenting. I was still modeling, and I was finding ways to clear up my skin, because of course they could do things, you know, with photographs to make it look better. But I was finding ways to find the perfection. I had allergies, I was tired, I had horrible PMS, I was constipated. Wow. So I was looking for ways to switch these things around for myself. And I just started researching and learning and researching, and I was fortunate enough to have the right people come into my life at the right times, and I was even smart enough to listen to them to make
apply it.
and apply it. And so I just started making the changes for myself. I was still modeling, but people started noticing the difference in me. And they would call me up and go, Karyn, such and such is going on. What do you think I should do? And pretty soon I was getting more calls for helping people than I was for modeling jobs. It just seemed like my life was being filled. So I started helping people out of my home. I lived in Evanston at the time. And then I started having support groups in my home for free. I put signs up around the city and said, meet for alternative health talks, bring a potluck dish, and I would outline what I wanted them to bring.
Wow.
Didn't say anything about raw, even though it was, because I didn't want to turn people off. And I didn't say anything about vegan or vegetarian. I just outlined the type of foods I wanted them to bring. And I started with 6 people in my home, and the next thing you know, I was having 90 people meeting in my home every other month. And it just evolved from there, and here I am today in a 7,500 square foot space with a wellness center and a restaurant and a store and a classroom, and it just evolved because I believed in myself and what I needed to do.
So tell me a little bit, why processed food is so bad for us? What is it up with, what is exactly?
We have cells that regenerate every 7 years, tissue every 3 months. So the body is in an ongoing cycle of regenerating itself. It just doesn't get a chance to do it because it doesn't get the right raw materials to do it. So the body is a miraculous machine, and you can throw all kinds of garbage in and it goes, okay, I'm going to keep chugging away, I'm going to let you wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to let you walk around, but you're going to be tired, you're not going to feel great, and you're going to need other poisons you think to keep going, like a little caffeine or a little this or a little that. So the body just keeps chugging along, and because we're living in a world of chemicalization, people have learned to make the assumption that chemicals are going to make them better, so they don't make the connection between the foods that they're eating and how they're feeling. You feel this way, you take a chemical. You feel this way, you take another chemical.
So it's like this spiral.
It's a vicious circle that people don't even realize, and the world is not set up to be healthy. So you continue and you continue, and then I'm certainly don't think anybody should not go to a doctor, you know, if you feel that's called for in your life. But then you go and you get more chemicals and more chemicals, and to me, chemicals are masking what the initial problem is, the body not getting the raw materials that it needs to regenerate itself. So I liken that to taking an aspirin when you have a headache, right? And you go, oh, the headache's gone, but all you did was snip the wire. Like you're driving a car, the brake light goes on, warning, warning, you snip the wire and you keep driving the car. So if your body is giving you all these warnings of symptoms of acne, bad breath, bad skin, allergies, cancer, I don't care what name you give it, it's your body just trying to say, wake up, dummy, you're not giving me the materials I need to regenerate, because the body is in an ongoing self-regenerative state. It's designed to do that. If you cut your finger and you do nothing to it, it heals up by itself. You bite your tongue, it heals. So the entire body is designed to do that. We just aren't taught to look at it that way. We're taught to do everything outside of ourselves. Go out here, go over here. We've got a better answer. But what I teach in my classes is we all intuitively know what's right. We're born knowing what's right. It's a book telling us what to do. We're animals, we're instinctual, we've just forgotten. So when you give the body the raw materials it was meant to have, you remember, you wake up. It starts to become a necessity for you that you have to do this. It isn't about, should I, is it a good thing? The more you do it, the more you have to do it, because we're designed to be that way. So the raw foods give the body the raw material. You need enzymes for every metabolic purpose in your body. When the enzymes are gone, that's when you die.
What's enzymes?
Enzymes are in food. You need enzymes for everything. Everything is made up of enzymes. So every time you sit down to a meal of cooked food, your body has to use its store of enzymes to break that food down. So it's kind of like you use up your life force at the table as opposed to adding to it. Now there's controversy over this, and like my mother taught me, for every pro there's a con, and every con there's a pro. And my answer to that is just try it for a week and tell me I'm wrong. You know, there's no way. Cause and effect. There's no way it can't work. If you give the body what it was designed to have, you can't help but feel better. If you continue to put what I call them poisons and toxins in the body and chemicals, you can't help but feel dead and tired. It's that simple. You look and feel alive with living foods. You look and feel dead with dead foods. And it's not to say that everybody has to run out and become a raw foodist, because you can't change tapes that have been playing for a lifetime. You can't just turn them around. There's some people that can do that, you know, and I always say I don't necessarily want to be around all those people all the time too that are so uptight that just, you know, I think it's important to give yourself a process.
Okay, and so, because there's raw food, we hear about vegan, so can you tell us a little bit about that? Because there's
Yes.
raw vegan, raw foods only.
And even if you were not going to eat raw fruits and vegetables, even eating raw fish and meat is better than eating cooked, once again, because you still have the enzymes. Now, I don't know that I would say that we need to do that in this country because the animals are pretty polluted. The word Eskimo means those who eat raw. They ate raw for ages until the missionaries went to and taught them how to cook their food, and then they started getting all the same diseases as we do. The animals in the wild don't get the same diseases as our pets, our cats and dogs, because they're eating raw. I don't, but people feed their animals cooked food, so they get arthritis, they get cancer, they get they get the same diseases that humans do. They even have commercials for pet meds to be delivered to them, right? Can you imagine pet meds being delivered in the jungle? Because they're eating it raw. So you can be, and there is a segment of raw foodists who do eat raw meat and raw eggs and raw dairy. Okay. But to me, I don't think humans were meant to eat animals. I don't believe that we are designed to eat animals, and who's to say which animals are to be tortured, killed, and eaten, right?
So that's what vegan is?
Vegan is no meat, fish, chicken, or dairy.
Okay, and dairies and meat, again, why is it so bad?
Well, because I don't believe humans were designed to take it in. We don't have short intestines to break it down, so we walk around with piles and piles of this, I call it pet cemeteries, and people, they're walking around with these dead
it stays for a few days, right, in your stomach?
A few
like
days. How about months, years, days? Well, they did an autopsy. Howard Lyman says in his tapes, and he was on the guy on Oprah's show, they did an autopsy on John Wayne and found 75 pounds of fecal matter in him. Elvis, they found like 35 pounds. Most people are walking around with 60 to 30 pounds of crap in them. That's your bad breath, that's your underarm odor, that's your constipated, that's all the stuff coming out of the body.
Wow.
And when you eat raw, you don't stink. You really don't. I don't use deodorant, I got friends. You don't smell, you don't have these odors, you don't get earwax, you don't get all of these poisons coming out of your system. I always say, because someone always says, well, you know, man has been eating meat since the beginning of time. Well, where are those people? They're not around any longer than Neanderthal man. And second of all, we were originally hunters and gatherers. If you were on a desert island and you hadn't eaten in weeks and weeks and weeks, and there was a dead cow and there was a bushel of apples, where do you think your instincts would take you? It would take you to the bushel of apples. Now there are some, you know, aberrations like Jeffrey Dahmer's and those kind of people, but for the most part as humans, our instinct would be to go for the apples. My dog would be to go for the dead cow. My cat would be to go for the dead cow. But as a human, if we saw a dead animal, we would more than likely be repulsed from it. You know, if we had to chop off the head and pull out the insides and the guts, and if you didn't fry it and saute it and put all those sauces on it, if you had to just, I doubt if you'd be, you know, running to eat all the meat that's out there. So I don't believe the human condition was meant to take in dead flesh.
Interesting. And so does, so your body can actually, you can talk to your, do you talk sometimes to your body and your body tells you this is the type of food that I specifically need right now?
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. I listen to my body all the time. People ask me, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your this? Where do you get this?
Right, we'll get into that.
I don't
because
worry
this is one of the
about that.
worries,
I don't worry about where I'm getting my protein. And I always ask the people eating the McDonald's, do you ask yourself where you're getting your protein that day? You know, when you're eating in the other world, you go, where am I getting my calcium? Where am I getting my protein? But you come into this world and all of a sudden it becomes this big, you know, scientific equation that you have to fill out. I go days where I eat nothing but apples. Some days I eat nothing but cauliflower. Some days I eat a lot of nuts. Some days I eat a lot of seeds. Some days I eat a lot of different things. I listen to my body, just like you said. Now, everybody can't listen to their bodies initially because some of you have so many poisons and you're toxic that you need to detox and cleanse. And to me, that is the most important thing that I teach and that you need to do is cleansing and detoxifying your body minimum 4 times a year. And I'm a raw foodist. I've been a vegan 39 years. I've been a raw foodist almost 30 years.
Wow.
And people say, why do you need to cleanse and detox? I'm on one right now as we speak, getting ready for the birthday, because I live in this world. I have stress. I drive behind buses, I'm taking in the toxicity, I get my clothes dry cleaned, I'm taking in chemicals through my skin. I certainly don't just eat in my restaurant, I eat out at other restaurants, never meat, fish, chicken, or dairy, or cooked,
Right.
but it's not organic, it's got chemicals, there may be a little sugar thrown in there, whatever. I choose to be a part of the human
Yes.
world and not live in a bubble. So I have to cleanse and detoxify. I have very chaotic people around me. Like we had a neighbor yesterday, oh my God, the toxicity of some people, and you have to deal with these people, and dealing with people in life, you have to keep yourself balanced by cleaning out. So I'm very big on cleaning and detoxifying.